Our next guest is a four-time NBA All-Star, 89, 92 through 94, one of our favorite Cavaliers of all time, and we're so happy to be joined once again by Mark Price. Mark, Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us again, brother.
Happy New Year, guys. It's fun to be here, especially tonight.
I'm telling you, man, when you first came up, and I know you were doing some pictures or whatever on the floor, you came in, and my first question to you was, how about this team, man?
Yeah, it's been so much fun. I mean, I think everybody's kind of keeps waiting for that losing streak or that losing, and it's just not happening, man. They just keep rolling. They went out west and took care of business. It was not only did they won, convincingly, and so they're locked in right now. Tonight might be one of the most fun games of the year, though. Oklahoma City's really good, too.
Yeah. So, Mark, when it does happen, and it's bound to happen in an 82-game season, I mean, how do you handle – let's say they come out and have a back-to-back loss. Not that it's going to happen tonight or anytime soon. But as a former player, how do you deal with it?
Well, I think, it's just the ebbs and flow of a long season. You're going to have those moments, well, let's take it. Two of their losses are against the Atlanta Hawks.
Right.
Which is a team you would think we would, on paper, would beat pretty handily. Yeah. So those things happen. You're playing NBA players every night, even if their record's not good. So they can get hot, play well. And particularly the new thing, which I think the Cavs are probably finding out now, is they're not hunting anymore. They're being hunted. They're sitting up on the top. They're sitting up on the top perch, so everybody gets up to play the Cavaliers, and that's a little bit different mindset that they have to take as players. Once you're kind of one of the elite teams now, everybody looks forward to playing you and trying to knock you off.
I want to talk a little bit about the legend of Mark Price. So I didn't get to watch you while you played. I'm just going to turn 27 here in a few months. I know you well, though, from NBA Jam. I'm not sure how often you get that. It's Doherty and Price and NBA Jam, lobs, threes, steals. How often do you get from guys probably under 30 that say they know you from NBA Jam, the old arcade game?
Well, not even that, but I'm on 2K as well.
Yeah, you're good in 2K. You're good in 2K.
And so kids are like, yeah, I play with you on 2K. You're pretty good. And, or NBA Jam, that was legendary. I don't think I missed on NBA Jam.
No, you're good. You're really good in both. You're very good.
So, yeah, that's especially the kids that didn't see me play and weren't born when I was playing. That's how they know who I am.
Mark Price joining us on the program today. You'll be joining Larry Nance in the Cavs Legend Corner from 5:30 to 6:30. When the fans get an opportunity to meet greats like you guys, it's got to make you feel good, but what do you do for them?
Well, I think it's just an opportunity for the fans, particularly that saw us play, fans that were in our era, to kind of reminisce and remember throwback days of Richfield Coliseum. And
yes,
it's so much fun. I'm shocked. I still see people wearing my jerseys to games, and so our team was beloved by the city and by the state, and so there's a lot of people that we were their favorite team. And so kind of getting to come and see us coming back around. I think it's a great thing that the Cavaliers have done, kind of starting this Legends Corner. In every game, there's some guys, some legends that have played, and allows the fans from those eras to kind of get an autograph or take a picture with us.
And it means a lot to us because as somebody who grew up watching you guys, and I'm the same age as you, unlike some guys that only know you from video games. But, I was talking to Kenny yesterday. He said to ask you, and we were talking about the Richfield Coliseum, and now you've got the beautiful Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, but there was something special about being in Richfield, whether it was going to the game and going to Whitey's for chili or whatever. But he said you had an incident driving to a game. Do you recall some snow or what happened?
Well, luckily it wasn't before a game, but it was just to a practice. I lived in Hudson, right up 303. I would drive in, but it was a snowy, icy, wintry, kind of like today is out in Cleveland. Yeah. And as I was riding on the road, I just started feeling myself slide, and the car just kind of flipped over off the side of the road when I was driving. It was almost like a slow-motion movie thing as it was happening. It wasn't something that happened fast.
You were heading to a game?
I was going to practice. Okay. I was just driving up, heading toward the Coliseum, and I hit a slippery spot and just kind of kept sliding over to and there's a little dip on the side there of the road, and it wasn't a major fall, but it ended up on, turned upside down. And, I was kind of slow motion while this was happening, but I was okay. I had my seatbelt on. I was good. And but yeah, it was a little scary. I'm not gonna lie.
You know, it's weird though, because like I was telling Billy, we grew up in this. We know this is nothing for us. But when you're from the South or whatever, and we were talking about the Ohio State game might get moved. I don't think it will, but there's a possibility that in Dallas, if they get an icing or something and they're not prepared for it, it's a huge difference. Was that the first time you had experienced winter weather in Northeast Ohio?
Oh yeah. I grew up in Oklahoma. We had those kind of Oklahoma, Texas, icy type things, but not the kind of snow that you get here in Cleveland.
Unreal.
And then, went to college in Atlanta, so didn't hardly ever see snow there. So, yeah, driving, if you've never driven in it before, I mean, I know all the native Ohioans are used to it, and it's not any big deal. But, yeah, it was a little bit scary for a guy from the South.
You're living in Atlanta now?
I am.
You're in Atlanta now, so you don't have to worry about this as much. But we saw there's been so much crazy weather in the nation this past week. They get hit with some ice once in a while, too, don't they?
Yeah, matter of fact, I'm heading home tomorrow, but Friday they're expecting possibly a big snow down in Atlanta area. So everybody's already worried about it because, trust it, they can't. It shuts everything down. People can't drive in Atlanta in the snow.
That's amazing. Mark Price is our guest right now on the Kenny and JT Show. And, Mark, we've been talking about this all afternoon. All-Star voting is out there now, and we expect people to vote for the Cavaliers. And you're a former All-Star. But the fans didn't get the opportunity to vote like they do now, did they?
Well, the fans did vote. I don't know, what the ratio.
Percentage.
I don't know what the percentage was of the ratio. And I was never – playing in Cleveland, it's a smaller market. It does hurt the players as far as I think vote share compared to, players. I think there was one season when we were really good, and I think up until about the last day I was right there, top guard, and all of a sudden overnight Isaiah Thomas ends up beating me out for votes. But I always took it as to me. I mean, obviously it would have been great if the fans vote you in, but the coaches picking the reserves, and to me, those are the guys that really know who belongs and should be there. And so I was always picked by the coaches and my peers, and that meant a lot to me, to make it that way.
Those great teams that you played on in Cleveland, it kind of resemble this team this year. And the thing that gets me is last year we looked at it and said, undersized backcourt. We're not saying that this year. We never said that about you and Craig either, though.
Right. Well, Craig was 6'7", so he wasn't too undersized. Ooh. Yeah. Ron Harper was 6'6", so I was really the only small guy.
You represent.
I was representing the small guys, so we didn't have a small backcourt per se. But Donovan, I think, is he height-wise, but he's a big, strong guy.
Yeah.
He doesn't play small, and so I mean, it's funny what you talk about when you're losing versus what you talk about when you're winning.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
Mark, you did some coaching both collegiately and in the NBA. I want to flash you back a little bit. You're with the Orlando Magic. You had J.J. Redick on that squad. Mm-hmm. Did you see during that time that he would be an NBA head coach?
Well, I don't know if you could ever project, but you could always tell he was a student of the game. He was always a guy. I remember when I came on board, staff there, J.J. was one of those guys that was kind of always, picking your brain, trying to learn, what's something new I can learn. And so, I think that was always in his DNA, you know, and so it doesn't surprise me that he's ended up being a coach. But you just never know.
And with this team, putting your coach's cap on, what are you seeing from Kenny Atkinson?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just the confidence level that he's instilled so quickly, you know, with the new system and everything else. It's almost like he's – and listen, J.B. Bickerstaff is a good coach. You can see what he's doing in Detroit. Mm-hmm. But there's sometimes it gets to a place with coaches and players, in this league, and I think that's why you see turnover sometimes. It's just maybe personality or approach to the game, but, for some reason – Kenny Atkinson's been able to kind of unleash the potential of just about every guy so far. I mean, you see the big jump with Mobley this year. Not saying that couldn't have happened, with JB, but I think just the way Kenny spaces the floor and moves the ball around, and I think it's really boded well for all the guys and allowing guys to play at their peak.
Man. If you're heading up to Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse tonight, Cavs Legends Corner from 5:30 to 6:30. Mark Price, along with Larry Nance, signing autographs, and we're so happy to have you joining us on the program tonight. Mark, you've come on with Kenny and myself before. We've talked about some of the Mark Price basketball camps.
Yeah.
Are we still doing that moving forward?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're still doing them. Right now we're in the process of organizing those camps, and we'll have at least 5, possibly 6 camps again this summer in the Cleveland area, Avon Lake, Medina,
Nice.
Bath, Brecksville, some different places this year. So if you want interested and your kids want to go to camp, it's an easy way to find it. It's just to go to markpricecamps.com. We'll soon have all the camps listed
Nice.
there. So people can choose which dates fit for them and times and hours and all that kind of stuff.
You got to get my bees
Well-
back on track, Mark. You got to work hard on that camp, all right?
Is that right?
Medina needs you.
But hold on. When you hold a camp and you have kids coming in and you're showing the fundamentals and everything, how do you deal with the parents?
Well, luckily at camps you don't have to deal with the parents.
Yeah, but don't they all want to get hey, Mark, let me get a picture. Let me get you to sign
Well,
this.
we have. We're pretty organized with it, but I have one day. I don't do it every day. I'm like, okay, this day after camp, I'm doing autographs and pictures. So
One and done.
parents, siblings, all that can come get that done. We knock it out in one
So
day,
cool.
and then
Man,
that's
smart.
how you deal with
Very
it.
a little
smart.
show and tell. What'd you bring with you?
I got to
today?
grab it. I got to
No,
grab
he's
it.
not going to ask you to sign anything.
No.
But Billy, I don't even know how he came up with this because I don't think they give you these when you buy the video games. But somehow, some way, this kid, he's 27, comes up with
wow.
these. What goes through your mind when you look at these cards? What are they, Billy?
So I've collected these over the years. The big one I wanted to show you here, Mark, is this All-Star one.
Yeah.
It's yourself, it's Brad Doherty, it's Larry Nance. That's the last time the Cavs had 3 All-Stars.
I
I
know.
just wanted to walk you down memory lane with all these.
Oh, no
what are they
question.
standing on?
Well, that's what they're saying. Yeah, that's what I try to say. I just happen to be that small compared to those guys. Both of those guys are almost 7 feet tall. I'm about 6 feet tall.
Oh,
so,
my.
So yeah, it's funny because when you're out there playing, and I never know, it's just
Sure.
like I'm out there playing with these big guys. You get used to it. I don't think about it much, but when we'd be on the road or something, when we'd go out and get something to eat, and you'd walk by, these big windows or something, you'd see the reflection. I'd be like, man, I'm small. But it's funny. It's funny. My oldest daughter, when she was born and was young and going to the game, she would ask my wife. She'd say, "Mom, why is Dad so little?"
No, the other one I want to ask you about here, Mark, is the jersey difference. So this is
Yep.
obviously mid-'90s, early '90s, and that's
Yeah.
later. Did you
Yeah.
have a favorite?
I
that
did.
splash of light blue, I think, is how I describe
well,
it.
actually, the splash of light blue, that jersey was my last year I played with the Cavs. That was our
Right.
first
wow.
first season in what it used,
Oh.
what
The Gun-
used to be Gund Arena.
There you go. Okay.
What's Rocket Mortgage now, but these were my favorites. The ones kind of
Iconic.
the iconic. Actually, the blue road ones with the orange numbers and stuff was my favorite all time. But yeah, I love those.
Did
those
you have
classic
wine and
ones.
gold?
Nope, we did not.
Not
We-
even like on a throwback night ever?
No, well, in throwback, we had
They
a
did?
couple of throwback nights where we wore wine and gold, but they got rid of those when we all came in. They changed it to the
That's
blue
the year.
and orange. Yep, 86.
Incredible.
You have many of your own basketball cards? Do you own many?
I do.
I would think.
At least I think about every one I've ever seen. People
You've
send,
had one?
people have seen them to me.
Wow.
So,
Unreal.
Yeah, so
That's
it's been
incredible.
amazing, but yeah, I look a lot younger and had a lot more hair. Let me
Hey,
tell you
still
that
have
much
plenty
right
of
there.
hair compared to us, compared to myself and Kenny anyway. It's outstanding. It's always so happy. We're always so happy to be able to reconnect with you, Mark, and thank you for always giving us the time that you do on our program, because if there's ever anything we can do, we're always here, and especially when the camps come back. MarkPriceCamps.com is
Yep,
the way
that's
to get
right.
hold of it.
Yep. That'd be great.
And we know we had one in North Canton a couple of years ago.
Yep. You can find out all the information you need on that website. And, I hope to see kids out there. Man, we have a blast.
It's outstanding.
It's fun. Medina, I think this will be our 4th year out at Medina.
Love it.
Avon Lake. And we keep adding camps. People keep wanting us to come because we've had a good reaction to what we do. We're really about teaching kids the fundamentals of the game. I mean, a lot of camps, they roll the ball and let the kids play. But,
Sure.
I mean, our whole morning session is all
Not just
skills,
threes, right? You're not just doing
skills and
threes.
Well, that's one of my first talks every day, because you come in and you just see all the kids jacking threes. And
Wow.
I'm like, guys, that's not how it's done. You got to take your first 25 shots under the basket, working on your form. And it's funny how the next day I'll come in and I'll see them doing it.
Under the hoop. There you go.
That's how.
What are your thoughts on the league and all the threes they've been hoisting up?
Yeah, I mean that could be a 3-hour conversation, I think, but it's just like, for example, the Hornets and Bulls played the other night, and they shot 105 threes, and they made 20-something of them. So I'm like, I went to Georgia Tech, so I'm a numbers guy, and I'm just like, okay, this is the NBA, and we're watching guys miss 70% of their shots. To me, that's like, is that really the look the NBA wants to go with?
They're struggling with it right now. It's a problem.
And whereas you got a game tonight between the two best teams in the league, who, we shoot threes and they do too, but it's like within the flow of a game. I mean, balls are moving inside, outside, playing the right way. And, I don't know. I think the NBA's got to – I don't know what you do about it. It's always harder to put something back in the box after you let it go, But yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of guys, in my opinion, that are shooting threes that don't need to be shooting threes.
So I would guess you're against the 4-point shot.
I would be against the 4-point shot.
Yeah,
Mark, you and I come from an era before there was a 3-point shot, and then there was.
Right.
That's a tough shot to make, man. That's like hoisting up. Anybody that's ever been on a basketball court has had to have taken a half-court shot. It's not easy to do.
Right.
What is the art of shooting a three?
Well, it's, strength, one of all. That's why you got kids that are 10 years old wanting to shoot threes. I'm just like, you're not strong enough. I mean, just physically, leg-wise, you end up creating bad habits trying to, like, throw the ball heave up to the basket. That's a great word for it, heaving it to the basket. But if you shoot the ball correctly, that's why a guy like, Steph Curry, who's similar size to me, can shoot so deep. It's not about how strong you are. It's about shooting it the right way, making sure you're using your legs and the rhythm of the shot and all that is how you create distance, not being, like, strong necessarily.
Steph separates himself at Golden State. What is it with Golden State that all of a sudden anybody that goes there has so much success, including Kenny Atkinson?
Right. Well, I think the way they play, I mean, the spacing and ball movement that they created with Steph and Clay when he was in his prime and all those guys that just made it so difficult for them to be guarded. And I think that's what most other teams are trying to emulate, but they don't have Steph Curry and Clay.
He never stops running.
So,
he's moving.
Oh, yeah.
Does Kenny Atkinson take some of that from Steve Kerr, your former teammate? Because, I mean, there are times where it seems like maybe it's today's NBA, it gets stagnant, but that team, when they're playing well, Steph never stops moving.
Right.
Is this the same offense we're seeing in Cleveland now?
I don't think it's exactly the same. Obviously, I'm sure there's elements, that he's incorporated. But I think the good coaches, he doesn't have Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, but he's got Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland.
Yeah.
Now they're a little bit different type players. Mm-hmm. They're probably more off the dribble type guys than Steph and Klay were off the catch type guys.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have to be able to coach your talent that you have. And I think Kenny Atkinson's done a great job with it, obviously.
We talk about Donovan Mitchell. He's a superstar. Darius Garland, former All-Star. But what do you see in his game that's changed this season? Seems to be back to his All-Star self.
Well, I think he's healthy. I think last year, he got beat up pretty good. Mm-hmm. I mean, people forget. I mean, he had his mouth shut for a month.
Well, had his eye poked out at the beginning of the year, too.
And, couldn't even eat solid food. So, I mean, the guy couldn't have been in
lost
great
15
shape.
pounds, I think.
Yeah, he was weak, just was a shell of himself, and I think that had a lot to do with it. He's obviously gotten himself healthy again, and his confidence is, he's back to that all-star form that he had a couple years ago.
Billy, that's Mark Price right there.
I've loved this. This has been great. I have one more question for you, Mark. You would know this as a smaller guard in the league. When they get to the playoffs, when they get in big games like tonight or against a more offense-oriented team, what can Darius do as a smaller guard to help on defense? Because I think a lot of the time the narrative is hide him, right? Mm-hmm. But I think he's played good defense. What do you think he can do as a smaller guard to help?
Well, I think he just got to keep playing hard. Darius has done a decent job. It's just about stepping up and taking the challenge.
Yeah.
And I think, when you're in playoff situations, you're going to get switched. The name of the game is switching now. I mean, they switch everything, so you're going to get switched on some bigger guys. You just got to fight for position and man up and try to keep your body in front of them.
Mark Price joining us on the Kenny and JT Show. You can join him later on tonight. Actually, in a couple of minutes, we're going to let you get out of here. Cavs Legends Corner is right across the way, signing autographs from 5:30 to 6:30. I think the door's open. Gates will be open. You're going to be there with Larry Nance, and we couldn't be happier to have you join us again. Wish you a very happy New Year, and go Cavs.
Go Cavs, man. I always enjoy being with you guys. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Mark.
All right.
Outstanding. Mark Price joining us on the Kenny and JT Show. Get a break in right now. We'll take some phone calls. We're here until 6:30. Cavaliers taking on Oklahoma City live from Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse.